Hello and welcome to Santos on Sports. It's always fun to talk sports with you and myself and Chris. We welcome you to the program along with Chris Santos. I am Paul Santos. Hey, we'd like to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors before we get into the topic of the day. Attorney John B.C., 156th A Street here in New Bedford. You can get him at johnseedlaw.com. Lakeville Athletic Club located at 325 Bedford Street in Lakeville. And you can play tennis and pickleball over there. Citywide Glass with 3 locations to serve you, 425 State Road in Dartmouth, additional locations in Fall River and Taunton, and Scotty's Pub located at 202 Pleasant Street in Fall River. So, Chris, what's going on? The Patriots just keep rolling along. What's happening? It's kind of a surprise, isn't it?
Well, from the beginning of the season till now, if you thought at the beginning, is it a surprise that they would be at this record where they are? Yes, absolutely. As the games have gone on and who they've played and how it's looked, no, not as much as I thought it would be, because I see some of these teams who are not very good, and I've seen some teams who are consistent and doing the right thing. But that being said, first place in the AFC East over a highly talented, supposedly Buffalo team. Yeah, I'm very surprised by that. And what I've seen of Buffalo recently has not been a good thing. I think they're struggling. I'm not saying they're overrated in any way, but they've had their lumps right now. So they're taking it on the chin, and Patriots are taking advantage of what's happening, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, one of the questions of the day that
Yes.
we presented out here to start with, and it has to do with the Patriots, which Chris was just talking about.
Yep.
Is Drake Maye a legitimate MVP candidate up until now? Now, some people would say, well, yeah, he's played really well. He's played great. He's done a lot of great things. He seems to be able to read defenses. He seems to be able to take instruction. He's working really well with Josh McDaniels. Everything is going along well. On the other hand, should we hold our horses a little bit? Should we step back and say, well, wait a minute, like that last game, he played pretty well, but of course he threw that terrible interception too. He's overthrown people at times. At the beginning of the game, he kind of overthrew people. So he's certainly not perfect. We don't expect him to be. He's still a rookie and all that. But, MVP, we're talking about perhaps the best player in the league when you say someone's the MVP. What does Mr. X's and O's say? Should we hold our horses a little bit in Patriot Nation?
Obviously, he's in the running. He's been on all sports bettings that have come out, whether he's been first, second, or third. To me, I am not there yet on him. When I think of MVP, I'm thinking every game this guy completely dominates and takes over the game and helps his team win. I'm not seeing that yet from him. I think they have a good defense. I think their defense has been solid and really helping him. They've got a lot of other things that have happened. I've seen some other players. I think Matthew Stafford has been outstanding, where he's actually taken over a couple of games and carried them on their back. I know it doesn't happen often in this NFL MVP to say a running back, but I think Jonathan Taylor has been outstanding for the Colts, where he has really shown that he can carry the load and win a game in the run game for the Indianapolis Colts. So you can never count out Mahomes, obviously. Allen's another one. But again, you tit for tat when you come about, are we winning? Are we losing? Are we mediocre? How are we with our team? So, yeah, I'll put him in the top 5 right now. Sure. But I still like a couple of the other guys a little bit better from what I've seen.
Suppose the season ended today.
Yeah, I would. For me, I think Jonathan Taylor's been outstanding. He's been really, really good for the Colts. He's going 25 to 35 carries a game.
Right.
Over, he's going Adrian Peterson type numbers, and Adrian Peterson won the MVP that year. He can break 2,000 yards. He's doing an awful lot. Stafford's been pretty solid too. 25 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. They're putting up points galore. He's really in charge of that offense. He's doing a great job as well. So no, I don't have him if it ended today. That being said, he can still improve, win some clutch games down the stretch, have the it factor, do some of those things, pull out a victory at the end. Games like that, if we get more of that from him, then yeah, it's a possibility, but I don't have him right now.
Well, Patriot fans, we tend to, turn into a ball going down the hill. We just kind of maybe get a little bit excited a little bit too quickly. I think there's a long way to go here. I mean, I've seen some great plays by Maye that just astound me, and I like the way he moves around in the pocket, and I like the decisions that he makes most of the time. On the other hand, that was a pretty bad mistake he made in that last game. And, I'm watching the game for 3.5 hours, and he makes that one mistake, and it's like, gee, that's the way it is in the NFL. You can lose a game by making one mistake in 3.5 hours. Yeah. And he made a few other mistakes, but that was a pretty bad one. I mean, they could have kicked a field goal there, and it would have been an 8-point lead, and you would have forced the opposition to come all the way down the field, get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, just a tie. And when that interception happened, I thought, oh, my God, this could possibly blow the game. Luckily, the defense has played really well, and that helped out in that situation and kind of bailed him out a little bit. But, he's playing great. I mean, I think a lot of times we Patriot fans, as you've pointed out before, we're a little on the spoiled side. And, now we're getting all ramped up because, the Patriots are 8-2. How much of it do you think is the schedule? I'm looking at the schedule. They're fortunate. You got to play the games that are in front of you and all that kind of thing, But they've beaten two really good teams. Obviously, they beat Tampa Bay and Buffalo, so you can't really say, well, you know what, they didn't play anybody. Well, those are two really good teams that they beat. But they have benefited from some of their opponents that are not that good, so that's one thing. And the fact that Maye has had so much help, some of these free agents have turned out to be really, really good. And how about the draft? This is the first time in a while that we've got a second-round pick and a third-round pick, contributing to this team. So, Maye has had a lot of help too, hasn't he?
A little bit of both from the schedule and from some of them picks and trades and drafts and everything that you just discussed, which you take what's ahead of you. And not to say that some of these other teams on the schedule that you're playing can't do what the Patriots are doing, but they're not. They're not doing it. So it's teams that are under 500, and, they're taking full advantage of them. I think their defense is really stepped up. Think about how many great running backs. They have not even allowed 50 yards of rushing. So that tells you you're winning the battle of field position, which now makes the field shorter, which puts more pressure on the other team's defense. And then you pick them apart with the run game, short passes, once in a while get a deep play in there. But you have the better of the field position. And McDaniels and Vrabel have done a good job of that, making sure they get the things that they want. 2 minutes before the half, they have the ball attempting to score. Start the third quarter, they have the ball. All those things that Bill used to do, Vrabel understands and how big that is during a game. And so the Patriots are righting the ship against the teams that, we can do this against, and you got to play them, and they're getting the job done. So if they can keep that ball rolling, they're supposed to win tomorrow night against the Jets. So they should have that one, maybe go 9-2, and then see how it, pans out from there. You still got the Ravens. You still got a couple of teams in there that are trying to turn it around as well. So let's see how it flows. But they're doing what they're supposed to do with the teams that they're playing.
All right, so you in the viewing and listening audience, give us a call here on Santos on Sports. We'd love to hear from you. I'd love to read your comments. You can call us at 774-218-3393. You see the number at the bottom of the screen, and chat with Chris and I. When the Patriots won, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, Chris is an educator, and he went into school and immediately got surrounded by Patriot fans going, oh, yeah, we're back, baby. We're going to the Super Bowl and all this kind of stuff. Well, that was a few games ago. So now they're 8-2. And, that first round bye, I mean, you have to have the best record in the AFC to get a bye now. It's not the top three. You have to be the top team, right? So, realistically, I mean, the AFC East, they got a bigger lead than it looks like because they have the tiebreaker against Buffalo.
Right.
So you figure the AFC East, they'd have to really tank to lose the AFC East. But they actually have a legitimate shot for that bye. I mean, if they get that bye, you're talking about skipping a week, then having a home game,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're in the AFC Championship game, which is
Mhm.
what the old Patriot, playbook used to be.
Yeah.
So, my goodness, are we getting excited a little bit too quickly here? Like, are the Patriot fans delirious? In other words, do you think that this Patriot team could be a Super Bowl contender?
I don't know about Super Bowl contender, but I do like the theory of winning the East, from what I've seen, and then figure out how good Denver is, how good Indy is, who are both 8-2, and then do you figure out, okay, is Mahomes ready to make a run? Is Lamar ready to make a run? Is Allen ready to make a run? So now you got to see those three teams, which usually are the big three in the AFC. So, there's playoff energy. I have no problem saying that. Super Bowl energy to win the AFC. I'm not there yet. Some things have to go, just right for them, but they're doing what they're supposed to do, and people are noticing the New England Patriots.
Well, I think I have someone on the line who
Yep.
I would think would be noticing the New England Patriots.
Right.
Nelson from Fall River. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Are you noticing the
Nelson.
Patriots?
Am I noticing? Do you mean? Am I noticing Tom Brady's clone? Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow.
Wow, that's a big talk right
Wow,
there.
he's showing a lot of respect there.
Wow, he's showing a lot of respect for Drake May.
Wow.
So that asks the question.
Not in the
Not
way that we
the way
think.
that you think.
What do you
No,
mean?
I got y'all. So if you compare Drake May's photo of today to Tom Brady's 2001 draft photo, it kind of looked kind of similar. And NFL fans are talking about this. They believe he's his clone. I believe it.
Okay.
So you think that Drake May is going to turn into another Tom Brady?
Well, I don't know about that.
You know
I
about
don't
that.
know about. I'm just talking about the clone wise, as in looking like him.
Nothing to do with performance, just by his
producing
look.
on the field.
Yeah.
That's to remains to be seen. It's too early. Calm down, children. Calm down.
Well, those New York teams, they're really not looking too good.
Oh no, you're correct about that.
And you got two of them.
Nelson, did you expect the Bowley fire?
Oh man, I was expecting major decisions to come down.
Yep.
They're asking Mr. Belichick if he's possibly interested in that coaching job. He said, "No, I'm only worried on Wake Forest. The next opponent."
Yep.
I don't know. The football field is not good, but when it comes to the basketball court and the baseball field, those playgrounds, yeah, it's a different story. But football, I don't know. I think New England is gonna dominate against New York football teams for quite some time.
So do you think the New England Patriots are for real?
They're for real to lose in the end. Yes, absolutely.
Wait a minute now. Hey, if this team, right, we started out at the beginning of the year, people were hoping, hey, maybe 500, maybe a couple games over 500, sneak into the playoffs. Now we're like, hey, look, we could win the AFC East, maybe get the bye, get in the play. We might be able to win a game or two in the playoffs, right?
Here's the thing. The Patriots practically have 4 bye weeks. Against the next opponent, they're playing the Bengals, and then the next team. Then they have 4 bye weeks. So I expect them to go at least to win these teams. So it's not just one bye week coming up. Then again, like I said, and we all talked about this. You have to produce on the field. They are actually producing. It actually makes me nauseous to say this next statement, but if this continues, the road to the Super Bowl just might have to go through the Patriots Stadium.
Foxborough, Massachusetts.
Might have to go
just a stone's throw away.
So Nelson, that being said, what's your theory on May as MVP?
if this continues and he continues this way, I'm not calling him Drake May. I'm calling him Drake Brady.
Ooh.
If Drake
Wow.
Brady continues this way, he just may be MVP. You know, and again, this is making me all nauseous right now, saying all this stuff.
Well, so you're a believer. You think this Patriot team, as constructed, could be a very dangerous team in the playoffs?
I believe Tom Brady. And again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is true, but based on what I've been reading online and people comparing things, based on Tom Brady's clone, we could potentially see another run here in New England that they've been experienced way back in the day.
All right.
You know, listen, you got the Jets coming in tomorrow night. They just completely cleaned house. You got the Giants. Listen, you lost Scatterboo. You lost Neighbors. You got a quarterback carousel going on over there. Now you fire your coach. I mean, that's a whole mess going on over there. And then, no offense, are the Bills overrated right now because they can't stop a cold? They can't do anything right on defense. And Allen is seeing the writing on the wall, and he's doing the best he can, but they're struggling as well. So these three New York teams who we thought could have a little bit of a challenge for New England, it's just not looking good at all.
No, it's not.
All right, my friend. Well, I'm going to take another call, but we appreciate your call, and we appreciate you giving all those compliments to the Patriots. We like that.
Yes, and now I have to attend to my nausea, given what I just said. But you guys have a great show.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks,
all right, let me see. We had a call coming in. Looks like we may have missed it, so let me see if I can pick it back up. But yeah, Nelson, he really, conceded that the Patriots are for real.
Yeah, he did, and he's, I'm not saying he's on the Drake May bandwagon, but he's thinking that. He started with the clone part about May and how he looked in the offseason with Brady's draft picture and how they were cloned, not performance on the field, because as I know, there'll never be another Tom Brady. That's just how it is. But, you're seeing similarities of some confidence in a young man that, hey, I can get the job done. I can help my defense when they make a play and turn it around on offense and get some points on, find different guys, get a run game, good quarterback rating, good pass completion rating, all that stuff. And of course, score touchdowns. I think he's 22-5 from touchdowns and interceptions, which is, pretty legit. But can he now, again, take the next step? And we know what the next step is, Paul, playoffs, and then make your way and see what happens. So it's just a matter of what he's doing, which has been great for this area and showing New England fans that we're alive. We're back, and we're going to make the playoffs, and we're going to do something when we get there.
Well, we have a very knowledgeable football fan on the line that I'm very curious to see what he thinks. So let's go to Butch from Acushnet. Hello.
Gentlemen, how are you this afternoon?
Doing fine. How about you?
I can't complain. I really can't.
Did you catch any of Nelson from Fall River?
I did, who usually, I don't agree with him very often. However, there's one point that I can't agree with him on. He kept emphasizing, if this keeps up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think that's the key point in all of this banter back and forth of where we are, where we're going, who's MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, playoffs, home field. Now we got people talking about we got to be the favorites for the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting carried away, aren't we?
Well, I think that people are exaggerating their recent success to the point where they haven't. Let's talk about facts right now. They haven't won anything other than a few regular season games against decent competition, but people will also say a weak schedule. But hey, I mean, they beat Buffalo, so that's not weak if you ask me, regardless of where they are, the week after that. But it's just, yes, they've had a nice start. But all this talk about Drake May is the MVP, I didn't think that pass in the end zone that got picked off was MVP material.
No, that was the clutch too.
You know, and he was lucky that the defense bailed him out.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he's doing well. He's well coached. He's performing. The defense is holding their own. You know, they're winning games. A lot different than what we're used to. People, I think, you know, I can't think of the adjective I'm trying to describe what I think they are, but you know, I think that they're, you know, overconfident based on a couple of wins. And I think they'll be awful disappointed, and you know, it'll turn on the Patriots when they don't win. You know, you know that we can say the Super Bowl may go through New England after they win a playoff game or two. And we'll talk about how good they're going to do in the playoffs after we see, you know, after we get to, if they even make the playoffs. There's still plenty of time in this season, but I do agree with Chris that it is nice for the area. It is nice for the fans. But I think you have to really appreciate it for what it is, you know, and I think they have a lot of potential and a lot of happiness to be spread.
Mm.
But you know, to start engraving Drake May on the what is the name of the MVP trophy? Is there a name on that?
I'm not sure.
No, I do not. I do not know that one off the top of my head. No,
so
I do not.
you know.
So, Chris, what do you think about what Butcher said?
Well, I mean, listen, you got the Jets tomorrow night. You then have Cincinnati. You then have the Giants. So think of those three games. The Bengals have been poor. The Giants are a mash unit. The Jets cleaned house. So you got to think in your brain right now, hey, man, that's 3 wins right there, in my opinion. And then you come back with Bills at home, at the Ravens, then at the Jets, and then finish home to the Dolphins. So, you know, the first 3 I like. The second 2, yeah, Bills and Ravens, going to be tough. And then finish with the Jets again in Miami again, which, no offense, have not been really that good. Miami, for some reason, showed up last week finally for a game against the Bills. Not saying that they couldn't do that against New England, but usually in January playing the Patriots is not what the Dolphins really like. So, yes, a lot of things favor New England. A lot of things get to that point where, does this mean we have a shot to win the AFC East with this ahead of us? Absolutely. Unless some other team makes this gigantic run. You know, so if Denver can do it, if Indy can do it, if KC comes back, if Baltimore comes back, if the Bills start to make their, charge now and, beat the Patriots in New England, whatever. So there's still a lot to be determined, but it gives you a good aspect. We're making the playoffs. We're making the playoffs. And if you said at the beginning of the year, can the Patriots make the playoffs? A lot of people said no. So they're proving people wrong, and they're going to get there. And as Butch just said, let's relax. Let's see what it looks like when we get there, and then we'll know more.
Yeah, one thing I want, and you know better than anyone, Chris, division games,
yep,
regardless of what records are,
correct,
and what state teams are in,
correct,
are never a guarantee.
Never.
The
Nope.
Jets, the Dolphins beat Buffalo.
Correct.
You got to play, especially beating a division rival twice. They have the Jets.
Yep.
It's one thing that you beat them once, but twice is that's the sign of a very good team.
Correct.
If they could beat the Jets twice and the Dolphins, and then the Bills again,
mm-hmm.
I'd have to start leaning towards this is a very good team, that they have real potential in the playoffs. But yeah, regardless, it's a long way to go, man. We're halfway, I think, right?
Week 10?
I think we're one game over half, right?
One game over halfway. And I will give them this. They've had a great first half.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They've positioned themselves to be successful. They've positioned themselves to, if they can continue this success, they will have an opportunity in the playoffs to then they'll have an opportunity to move through the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun having meaningful New England Patriots football games again. I have to tell you, every single Sunday, and it's usually a good game. That game was an exciting game the other day, and it's just like I'm glued to my TV. They're all like good games, and they're meaningful games, and they're important games for the Patriots in order to get a good spot in the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. And it's just so enjoyable compared to what we've had the last few years. And I know we were spoiled. But in some respects, this is more interesting than when Brady was there. It got to the point when Brady was there and they're playing an AFC East opponent. It was almost like, hey, maybe I'll go take off with the wife for a while because she wants to go here and there. And now it's like I'm glued to the TV, like we really need this one. And then the following week, it's like we really need this one. And the following week, so it's really fun to watch this team. And Drake Maye, I just find him a likable guy, Not only is he playing well and he's learning and everything else, I just like the way he carries himself so far. He doesn't come across cocky or arrogant or anything. He's got confidence, but I don't know. I just like the feel of him in these press conferences after the game.
Yeah, I think he shows a lot of humility and understands that. I think he thinks like I'm thinking, not like I think, but like I'm thinking that, hey, this could all go downhill rather quickly, and we need to stay focused. We could lose 3 in a row. Anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday in the NFL, especially this year. You've seen that.
Right, and to your point, it's easier to win when you keep winning. It gets contagious and it just feels good and you get the confidence. But suppose the Patriots lose a couple games down a stretch and then they go into the playoffs having lost 2 in a row or something, right? Are they able to come back from that adversity? That's a question that I think you pointed out earlier in your comments that really remains to be seen.
They really, not only that, Paul, put that with a couple of injuries.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they've been so fortunate.
If you lost Drake Maye,
every time he runs the ball, I get really nervous.
As you should.
Yeah.
I want to, me as well. I am a Patriots fan, but you lose 2 in a row, and then you have some injuries. All these people that are buying Super Bowl tickets and be calling up there, grouchy, and trying to blame someone for doing something wrong, But I agree with you. It's very entertaining for the area.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of morale back to the real Patriot fans too. And I don't mean some of the kids that grew up during the Brady era, they really don't know what it is to lose and to have bad teams and bad organizations and bad clubs, Now, hey, we got a coach in there that seems to have some influence over the players. Some of the players seem to be, I don't know, I guess you can say, standing up and trying to control things in the locker room. Where last year, hey, we didn't have that type of stuff. You know what I mean? We got some good coaches and they're performing. So I think it's good for the area. Not to mention the Bruins have won 7 in a row.
Yeah, I know. I'm a big hockey fan, a big Bruins fan. And, they won those first 3 games at the outset. Then they lost like 7 in a row. Now they've won like whatever it is, 7 or 8 in a row. And I'm like, who are they?
Who are they?
Yeah. But some of those guys, like second line guys, third line guys, I mean, some of them are playing pretty well. But, the backup goalie actually is playing better than Swayman, who they absolutely overpaid. But, hey, as long as they're winning and they can be over 500 and sneak into the playoffs, that's all you need to do.
I guess, yeah. They are young.
Yeah.
They are young, and Swayman, has not played all that well to begin the year. But we'll see. Hockey's a long way to go.
Are you a Bruins fan?
I am a Bruins fan. Yep.
Yeah. How about the Celtics?
No, I'm not an NBA.
You're not an NBA guy, right?
Yeah, I'm not an NBA guy.
Well, the way like I look at May there, and he kind of carries himself, and then you got like Tatum. He used to strut around like I just something about the way that guy carries himself that I don't feel right about. I know I'm in the minority, but Chris and I can pick up on that in a few minutes. All right, Butch.
I will tell you. Winning kind of cures everything. I thought Tatum last year got a lot of praise because they did very well,
Yeah.
But when they're not doing well and they struggle in the playoffs, he does take a lot of heat. And you'll see that happen to Drake Maye as well. And remember, it wasn't long ago, 3-4 weeks ago, everybody was talking about there was too much on Drake May's plate.
Oh, yeah.
And Josh McDonald doesn't know what he's doing. And you know, they're putting too much on his plate. He can't handle it, blah, blah, blah. Now all of a sudden they got him as the MVP going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's just fans. Remember the Red Sox down the stretch? It was like, oh, the manager should be fired. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. Then they won a few games, and then in that one of those games, the first game in the 3-game series with New York, he used the pitcher correctly, used the bullpen correctly. Oh, this guy's brilliant, all that. Then they lost in 2 games. Oh, he should be fired. So fans have these like wild swings back and forth, don't they?
Yeah. Well, we've had you've brought it up before, with the Red Sox and the Patriots, and we've had so much success in the recent history that people kind of, and rightly so, they expect it based on. I don't know if they expect it, but they think it should continue. In that way. I expect a little bit more from the Red Sox as far as money wise.
Absolutely.
The Bruins, I expect a little bit more of managing the money that they do have because there's a cap better. And, the Patriots, I knew it was going to take time. I just thought that the Patriots lost a whole legacy of players, coaches, and that was really hard to rebound from.
Yeah.
So
it's fun watching,
nice.
though, that's for sure.
It's nice, like you say, to turn on the TV. I mean, I would turn on Red Zone and not even watch the Patriots the last couple of years.
Listen,
I'd be interested, on how I picked in my pool or whatever.
It was painful.
When this season started, when this season started, remember they went 1-2 out of the gate. They lost to the Raiders.
Yep.
They beat the Dolphins only by 6 down in Miami, and then they lost to the Steelers. When they were 1-2, man, the media around here was ready to Drake May this and Vrabel that, and they were ready to, to send them and pack them shipping. And then they had the big win over the Bills, and that just completely turned a 360 with that win right there. That one win turned it around because the week after that, they played the Saints, only won by 6. And then, they played the Falcons, which, again, caught a break because the guy missed an extra point. That could go either way if that game was actually tied, stuff like that. But, think about if they could have went 0-3 to start the season and lost that game at Miami instead of pulling it off. But the big turnaround is obviously what they did against the Bills in Buffalo. When that happened there, that was the key to the whole media and to this whole area to say, we're not that bad and we're going to get better. And they have ever since, and they continue to go their way. So, they've done some things well to get them to that point in a full game, from the defense to the special teams to the offense, everything. Not just, hey, it's been Drake May, I put him on my back and I'm carrying him like Allen or Mahomes. I don't see that. I personally don't see that. He's been okay. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see the carry like I've seen Jonathan Taylor carry the Colts to some wins with that rushing. Just to see Matt Stafford make some big numbers and carry the Rams to some victories, things like that. So this is a good team, Paul and Butch. I like the team chemistry is really working well under Vrabel and McDaniels.
And we agree on all of what you just said, Chris. You're absolutely right. I think Drake May is more than, hey, just don't lose it for us.
Right.
He's actually contributing. He's not that guy you send out there and say, just don't give up the ball. We'll depend on our defense and, we'll win 7-0. No, he's making good throws. He's got some, the wide receiver core, for whatever reason. You hear all these different reasons. Who's leading, coaching, have overperformed if you would have asked me. Mm-hmm. I think that's a huge area of that improved from over the last couple of years. So hey, good for them. Good for them. Good for us. And we'll see. We'll see.
All
I'll
right.
be rooting for them.
All right, Butch. Thank you for the call as usual.
All
right. Go Pats.
Yep.
All right. 774-218-3393. A good sign to call in, or a good time to call in when we have an open line here. So, yeah, a lot of interesting comments there by Butch as usual. A lot of contributions.
How about Philly Mac over here? What did Philly Mac have to say, Paul?
Yeah. Can you see that there?
Yeah, it says, so with a serious soft schedule so far, why is Vegas so far off 9th best odds to win Super Bowl? Yes, pretty good. His O-line will be his fragile fall if we lose one lineman for 3/4 of the games. So
that's what Butch said, injuries. Like if we had some injuries on the line, that could be a big thing.
Good. I mean, that's one of the things, you got to have success, and winning breeds success, and winning breeds healthy players too, Paul. Remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 774-218-3393. Give us a call if you would like to. We'd love to chat with you here on Santos on Sports. A lot going on. Patriots are on a roll. They got a game tomorrow night against the New York Jets in Foxborough. It looks like, yep, it's in Foxborough, home game,
Yes.
8:15. That should be a fun one. We'll see what happens if the Patriots can keep this bus rolling. Hopefully they don't get caught in one of these games that, they treat an opponent like, hey, this is going to be an easy one. They don't have one of those sleeper games. I don't know. I don't think so. That this is sort of new, this winning thing. So, and of course, the quick turnaround from Sunday to Thursday, but the opponent has the same situation. But Chris, you mentioned the defense before. Seems like the defensive line and the linebackers, there's some good play on, those positions, the linebackers and the defensive line. Surprisingly so. Some of these guys they picked up, and I'm looking at them saying, wow, these guys are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if I could ask for one thing, probably for the Patriots to have, I think they'd really like to have a big edge rusher, someone that comes from the outside, left side, right side, and really gets after the quarterback. We know what they can do on the run. They've shut that down in the middle, the two big guys in the tackles, and really stopping that. But I think if they get one of those, if they have like a big edge rusher, I think that would be even better. So they're relying on the linebackers to kind of blitz and stuff, and and maybe some secondary people doing the same. But they've been consistent, and they're forcing you to obviously throw a little bit more because they're stopping the run, and which is something they like to do. And so if they can get pressure on that quarterback, it's only going to help them in the offense.
All right, if you're watching right now, give us a shout, 774-218-3393. We can pick up with the Patriots talk. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the Celtics. The Celtics are struggling along here. Of course, they've lost a lot of players. I mean, you got no Porzingis, you got no Horford,
right.
A number of players left, and of course, Tatum out injured.
Yep.
And so there seems to be a narrative like, okay, here's Brown with a chance to show that he's the number one guy and he can carry the team and all that, and it hasn't really worked out that well. So to what extent is it that, maybe Brown isn't that guy? Or number two, I'm thinking more like being a little more forgiving toward Brown. I don't really think he has the players around him, really. You know what I mean? Like, he had some games. I mean, he scored 35 one night. He's pretty much leading the way in every single game. I'm not sure he's quite the playmaker that Tatum is. Tatum is certainly better at the foul line than Brown is. But again, Tatum has never played without Brown. Right. To a long period of time. So, the two of them together are very important. One day he said he needs me and I need him, kind of a thing. So I don't know. Are we getting enough out of Brown? Do you think the criticism to Brown not doing enough to carry the Celtics to a few more wins, do you think is justified?
No, we do not need more out of Brown. Brown is fine. There's nothing wrong with Brown. This team is just not that good right now.
Okay. All right.
They don't have the horses, Paul. Okay, you got White. Yep. Minot, Queta, Hauser, Gaza, Simmons. Listen, Hugo Gonzalez, they don't have the horses. You got one horse. You got the stud in Brown. Yeah, obviously Tatum's a big loss, and they feed off each other. It's not the big three anymore. It's not even the big two. It's the solid one. is what it is, and they don't have anything else around it to get what they need. So you got Pritchard that comes in and not getting enough out of that as well. So I just don't think the horses are there. Brown's doing what he can. He's trying to hold the fort. They're hoping Tatum comes back at some point. That may happen. That may not. But I just don't think the horses are there, Paul. So do they need more from Brown? I don't think so. I think he's trying what he could. And I think if the roles were reversed, if Brown was out and it was Tatum, I'd say the same thing. I'd say, no, they need more from the other players than they do from the big guy.
It almost feels like, and I don't know what the thought process was within the organization, but it almost felt like after Tatum got injured, they figured, well, we're not going anywhere this year anyway. And so they left Brown there without a lot of help. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like some of these younger players have done all right here and there, but they've almost like thrown this year away. And I don't know. I don't think that was really unfair to Brown, because if they had some help there, Brown probably could have held the fort until Tatum came back, and then you go in the playoffs and anything can happen. But it doesn't feel like that's going to happen, even if Tatum does come back.
Right. Listen, they're 5-7. When you watch games, 102, 100, are they getting blown off the court? No. Are they in mostly every game? Yes. They don't have the keys, to take a big lead. They just don't have those horses. The one guy to make the shot down the stretch. Is it always there? Can they find that? Can they get that out of someone from this team? I don't know if they can. So, there's a lot, but they have players. They have some talent. I just don't think it's enough in today's league to make a stretch where they can go on a real run with this squad right now. They would really need to have some guys go, whoa, what just happened here? Where did this guy come from? I just don't think the horses are there.
I think there are like a couple of games I can think of. And again, not to just focus on the last 30 seconds of the game, but there was a game there that, Pritchard came out and tried to take the last shot 2 times in a row.
Yep.
And of course, he's a good player. He can shoot a good shot from far away. He's good from 3-point land. But, he tried to go down baseline and he got smothered by players that are much taller than him, and he couldn't get the shot off. And I'm thinking, why wouldn't they just give the ball to Brown? I mean, if Tatum was there, he'd get the ball. Okay, that game went by. And then last night, it was kind of unfortunate. Brown came out and he had the ball, and then he got double teamed immediately. So then he passed the ball over to White, and then White fumbled with the ball and couldn't control the pass, which wasn't really Brown's fault. And then he took this like Hail Mary of a shot. They lost the game, and I'm thinking, gee, there's 2 games right there that I thought, wow, they really could have won both of those games, and they just can't seem to get their act together in a big moment like that.
Right. Now think about the 7 losses, Paul. Lost to the Sixers by 1 point to start the season. 1 point. Lost to the Knicks by 10. Their next loss was nope, they won that. They got blown out by the Rockets. 128-101. So that's their worst loss. They lost to the Jazz by 2. They lost to the Magic by 13. And then they lost last night to the Sixers by 2. So 1 blowout game out of the 7 losses. And probably, Paul, like you said, maybe out of the 6 of them, 3 of them had a shot to win the game, had chances to win the game. It didn't happen. So think about 3 other wins. So that would make it 8-4 could be their record. They're 5-7. They're not. So again, I just don't think that enough talent is there for them right now. So it's going to be tough. They're going to have some real big victories, and they can't afford any other injuries. So they better hope Brown don't get hurt. They better hope, some of these guys stay healthy, or it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, hopefully they don't rush Tatum back. If it's, a situation where they're coming down the stretch and you could tell they're not really going anywhere. Now, any team's capable of getting hot in the playoffs and all that. But, that's a bad injury, that Achilles. And, if he has an opportunity to get a whole year recovering, maybe we should just let him do that. If it doesn't look good enough, if the Celtics, rally and they're, they can get into like the top 6 and, anything can happen, the seedings don't really, the home court isn't that important like it used to be. You get Tatum back. Hey, maybe they can make some noise. But other than that, the Achilles injury can be tricky.
Well, again, and if it goes opposite, now you got to think the opposite way. Well, where are we in the draft? And so now we get a pretty good pick because we haven't had a pretty good pick probably, unless we made some trades because we've been winning so much that, you're number 32, you're number 31. Maybe we can get into the top 10. Who knows? And then help you for the following year. So, there's some things out there. I'm not counting out Brad Stevens. Maybe he can find a way to make some moves. Does that mean Missoula's got to be better at coaching? Possibly. Got to figure out where he's at and what he's thinking, and this team will test him and see how good of a coaching job he can do with Sam Cassell. So they got their work cut out for him.
Yeah, he seems to be getting criticized for sticking with the bombs away thing.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, he's getting criticized an awful lot. Well, one is still doing what you're doing, which is lead the league in 3-point shots.
So do you think he should adjust that? Should he do something different?
Well, I guess you can make some other ways and try a different style to maybe cut that down a little bit, maybe get it more on the inside, try to figure out some different ways of not just thinking about the 3-ball all the time. So, but yeah, he's taking a lot of heat right now.
All right. How about those Boston Bruins? We alluded to them a few moments ago. We were talking to Butch, losing the 7 games. They won 3 at the beginning, then lost 7 in a row, now won 8 in a row. And it was really surprising. I mean, rooting for them and watching the game. I want to see them get in the playoffs. I don't believe in tanking. If you got a decent team with young players you're developing and stuff like that. Yep. And, of course, you got Pasta, who's always a great goal scorer. I mean, he just scored an unbelievable goal again last night. And the goaltending, especially the backup goaltending, has been pretty good. Swayman has been, certainly overrated, but he's okay. You know what I mean? Gives up a softy here and there. Defense has played well. Second line, third line seem to be playing okay. Special teams hanging in there. So I'm looking at this team and I'm trying to learn a lot of these players, but like I was saying to Butch, who are they? Are they the team that lost 7 in a row, or are they the team that won 8 in a row?
I'm looking at it from of 2 points. One, injuries and they're healthy. How much, Lindholm back. The other Lindholm's out. Then the other 2 keys, the young guys stepping up, Paul, second and third line.
Yep.
And then the big one that I've seen compared to years past, the turnovers, limiting the turnovers in their own zone. They're still doing it, but they're not doing it as frequently as they have in years past. And that's helping them. They're learning big time to say, hey, if we create a turnover, keep it along the boards. Do not create that turnover in the middle of the ice. Transition the other way. Puts a lot more pressure back on our D and our goaltending. We got to do a better job. So that's one of the biggest ones I've seen. And then, the play of Korpisalo, the play of Swayman have helped out to keep the Bruins in a lot of games. And then, obviously, the young guys helping out Geeky, helping out Pastrnak to get more production, which is what you want to see, and hoping that it lasts for a long period of time. We've seen some guys like that have a good span, and then we don't hear from them again. So they're hoping that they get a lot of production from the second and third guys that last throughout the year.
We got first-year coach Marco Sturm, right?
Correct.
So some people would say, well, hey, Marco Sturm, good guy. He's got a lot of experience coaching as assistant coach and things like that. Never really was at the helm of an NHL team. So some people might say, why are we giving it to this guy? But he seems to emphasize, defense and don't turn the puck over, although it started out shaky when they were, like you said, coughing up the puck, especially in years past. Maybe Marco Sturm's system is starting to sink in, and, the players are buying into his system. And maybe there's something there that maybe Sturm is doing something right.
It's a possibility, with some of the other assistant coaches that he brought on to talk about special teams, to talk about the defensive zone, the offensive zone. But remember what Marco Sturm was. What kind of player was he? He wasn't this big offensive stud kind of player. He was a lunch pail, dig in the corner, grinding kind of guy, make some big hits in the middle, and then, bang, flash a goal here and there, and you go, whoa, who's this guy? And so you think about that situation and that style that he liked, and maybe he's taken some of that he used to do and say, let's bring this back here in Boston, and this is how we're going to do it with our young guys. So if they're buying into the system, that's all you can ask for, and then see how where it goes from there. And right now, yeah, you've had some Jekyll and Hyde and a game of emotions where you win 7, lose 6, win 7. It goes back and forth. So streaks happen a lot in the NHL. Let's see if they can get some consistency the rest of the year and be in it, as one of the top teams come playoff time.
Well, as some know, Chris and I are involved in local play-by-play, announcing local games, and Dartmouth got beat in the first round of the playoffs the other day, but there is a consolation game this coming Friday that Dartmouth Community Media is going to do live on YouTube. And then, of course, we got the big game on Thanksgiving. And I'll tell you, the last few years, Chris, that Dartmouth-Fairhaven game has been a fun, exciting game. And, Fairhaven is doing well again. I mean, in Division 6, they are just steamrolling along. They're kind of like the team to beat. But, Dartmouth on Thanksgiving, that's always obviously a big game. And I expect another close one right around the corner. And, some of these local contests, Dartmouth and Fairhaven, especially the last few years, been some really, really good games.
Well, not last year in Fairhaven, but the year before. You remember the kick heard around?
Yes. Oh, my God, yeah.
That long field goal was pretty impressive, and Fairhaven went on to win. And as you said, Dana Almeida has himself another good squad, and they're really turning the screws out there in their division. And so I'm expecting another good game, but I think Fairhaven continues to have the horses right now. And I expect to see them win that game as well.
Well, you're talking about that field goal. I believe, if I remember correctly, because we were announcing the game for Dartmouth Community Media, I believe it was a 42-yard field goal. The kid's name was Grant Darmafall.
Yep.
And I was like, 42-yard field goal to win the game at high school. Like, you never see that. Not that far, right?
No, and Thanksgiving and cold and raw and, everything that's going on there. And in the situation that you're in, Dartmouth-Fairhaven rivalry, Thanksgiving, all that stuff. And, like I said, it was the kick heard around Dartmouth. So it went through and, look what Fairhaven went go do. And, they had a great running back in Marks. So you figured maybe they've calmed down a step, but no, they're right back at it. Good offensive line, and they continue to do what they do. They lost one game this year to West Bridgewater in a shootout, like 44-42 or something like that. And so, they're back in the playoffs. They won last week. They'll be back at it again this week. So expect a lot out of them. And even if they make another run to the Super Bowl, people say, well, that means they take Thanksgiving Day off, right? Not necessarily, not for Haven. They'll be ready. They'll be ready for the Indians.
Well, you're talking about that field goal, even though we were announcing the game from the Dartmouth point of view. So obviously we're, pulling for the team that we call all year. To be there for that game and to have it come down to that last play like that. I mean, what excitement in the, in the stadium, it was just like Thanksgiving morning, last play of the game. The guy, there's like a, I wouldn't say a Hail Mary, but it was, a long field goal kick. And it's like, is the kid really do it? And for the kid to put the ball through the uprights, I mean, what a great way for the Thanksgiving game to end.
Oh, well, you talk about drama, you talk about, a big day of the year, think about holidays. It's like, what's better than kicking the winning field goal? Now you go home and eat. You sit back and you watch Detroit at 12:30. The Cowboys play at 4:30. Something's going on at night, and and you're just still tickled pink. I'm sure it was a great day for Fairhaven, and they had a great Thanksgiving that particular year. Yes.
Well, here's the interesting thing, right? That kid. Right. No matter, he could do nothing else in sports the rest of his life. When they have the 25th anniversary, this and that, or whatever, it's like, hey, that's the guy that kicked the field goal. He could really milk this for a while.
Hey, listen, it's a great trivia question in Fairhaven history. So put it that way.
I didn't realize that.
You're not going to say that like he was the quarterback or he was the, wide receiver or running back. He was a kicker, and he did what he needed to do. And if people say, hey, who was that guy? In 2023, that kick that people know who he is.
Now look at Butch. Butch is saying that in the Super Bowl, he missed the chip shot right after that. So they probably sent him out there and said, hey, if you think you can do it again, and it didn't work out. So,
wow, listen, he sounds like an Indian. Knock the guy down when he's at his greatest moment. That's an Indian going after a blue devil right there. But, you know,
not to bring it up or anything, but he
Yeah.
missed it the next time. Yeah, right. Exactly. But now you're going to be covering New Bedford Volk. Do you see anything coming up in the basketball season that you think they're going to have some good teams this year, or kind of rebuilding, or what does it look like?
Well, the rumor mill around town in New Bedford is that New Bedford High basketball is back. We're back. We're supposed to be having some 2 or 3 transfers from out of town that are now here in New Bedford, and supposed to be some good basketball players. And Matt Hill, the head coach, I believe, has his son, who is at Keith, will be a freshman and is supposed to be a very talented player as well. So I'm hearing the rumor mills that New Bedford could be a very good basketball team this year. We'll have to keep an eye out on them and get an idea how they look once the preseason starts, and some of these new players that supposedly are on the team.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned this, because there's nothing more exciting than the Beardsworth-Gonsalves gym with a New Bedford team that's a good team. And you got Brockton coming in, you got Durfee coming in, you got these players coming in, and the old gym is rocking like the old days. There's nothing like that. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. And we've had some decent teams in the past. It doesn't get as crowded as it used to be in the old days when Eddie Rodriguez was coaching, and Skippy Karam, and those battles where both sides, it was standing room only. You couldn't breathe in there. It was so hot, one of those kind of deals. So, they still get a few here and there, and, a couple of close ones, but the rivalry still bangs around. It still gets heated, whether you go to Durfee or whether you have it over there in New Bedford, and, of course, Brockton as well. So, yeah, it's always fun. Crosstown rival. Dartmouth comes over. That's always a good one, too. And that's what makes high school sports fun.
Well, last year, the Dartmouth-New Bedford game, the last couple of years have been good games. I mean, the night that they had a ceremony, I think it was the night that Steve Gasper, who we unfortunately lost very recently, a great guy, when they named the gym after him. That was a Dartmouth-New Bedford game, good game, came out to the wire. And then as far as the Dartmouth winter sports is concerned, we were really excited last year about the Dartmouth girls because of their great player.
Yes.
And so, when they got in the playoffs and they didn't win, now that was a big loss that we lost us all time. Why is the name not coming to me? I'm blanking out over here. Cheesebro. Oh my God, what's going on here? Catherine Cheesebro. I must have said her name 1,000 times over the last 4 years. But anyway, as a senior moment, you got to keep an eye on those.
Yeah, I got you.
After 65,
Okay.
But anyway,
I got a little ways away.
Catherine Cheesebro. Yeah, I mean. And then, in the playoff game where I think they were in the semifinals, they were like one game away from getting to the South final. And it came down to the last shot. And I mean, they were double teaming or triple teaming or everything else. And she took the shot off and just front rimmed it after having a great night. You know what I mean? Not her fault at all. But it's like, oh man, just a little bit more. We could have got into the next round. But the thing with that team is I just think they didn't have quite the supporting cast. You know what I mean? It was kind of like all that one player and maybe one other one, but not really deep enough.
Well, you've seen it for 4 years, and you've seen those teams that she's had. And so you always have that player to build around with, and you try to get that done. They made some good runs. Just didn't happen to finish off that way. So, I'm looking forward to the winter season and what basketball brings to the local area.
Well, before Butch hung up,
yes,
he said something to the effect of, well, you Patriots fans, I wouldn't be buying any Super Bowl tickets just yet. Ooh. So I was thinking to myself, well, Chris's Cowboys fans, I don't think they should be buying even a playoff ticket, never mind a Super Bowl ticket.
I agree with you.
So what's going on with your Cowboys in the last couple of minutes here? I'm watching every time the Cowboys are on and they're losing, I'm thinking, oh God, Chris must be going crazy right now.
Well, as I've told you, from the past, we're 3-5. What is it? 3-5-1.
3-5-1. Yeah.
So, in those 9 games, we rank 32nd in defense. We have the worst defense in the NFL. That puts a lot of pressure on the offense, and they're expecting you to score 60 and give up 56. Well, that's not going to happen in today's NFL. So, what do? They go out and try to get a defensive tackle from the Jets at the trade deadline. They went out and got a linebacker at the trade deadline. So they know what the problem is. They're trying to fix it, and they're not doing it fast enough right now. So they weren't able to stop the run at all. So they're going to see if this guy, Williams from the Jets, can help it and see how he does. And then they picked up a linebacker, Logan from Cincy, and hopefully he can get to the quarterback a little more and play a little pass coverage as well. So, yeah, they got some issues on that side of the ball, and they need to fix it. They know it. They're just not getting the job done. As
a diehard Cowboys fan, right?
Yeah.
You know, they keep showing the cutaway of Jerry Jones every time something good happens. Something bad happens. Like, they keep doing that over and over again. Like, what are you thinking? Are you thinking that, Jerry Jones is not really done a lot over the last few years to try to get this team back where they need to be?
Well, I think he spent some more money than I would have liked to seen spent on some players because now you're just locked in on one or two guys where, you need to spend through the whole team and make sure you have stuff in the secondary and in the linebackers. And, then we had some injuries and then Parsons left and, there was all kinds of riffraff about that stuff. And then we just lost the young man to, unfortunately, mental health issues and he died. Right. And, a lot going on there. It hurts. But at least they tried to say, yeah, we know what our problem is and we got to try to fix it. So at least he's tried to make a trade and get some things done. We'll see if it helps him out and maybe turn some things around in the next couple of games. We'll see.
All right, we're winding down here on Santos on Sports. Our thanks to Scotty's Pub, Citywide Glass, Lakeville Athletic Club, and attorney John B. Seat for sponsoring Santos on Sports. Again, looking at the Patriots schedule tomorrow night, they have the New York Jets, then it's at the Bengals, then it's home to the Giants, then a bye week. So you have 3 games, bye week, then another. So it's 3-3. Right. Come back after the bye week. Big game against Buffalo and Foxborough. Yep. Oh, my God. Everybody's going to be watching that one. And at Baltimore, we'll see if they make a comeback. I don't know. They could be dangerous. And then Miami, who just beat Buffalo. So they're no joke either. So, hey, we'll see what happens. I just hope that this bus keeps rolling because it's so much fun that the Patriots are winning again.
It is. It's going to be a big night tomorrow night. I think it's going to be even bigger night tonight for you, Paul Santos. Because is this your finals tonight?
No. It's a week from tonight, actually.
Oh, a week? So you got another week to prepare.
If it was tonight, I don't know if I would have the strength to be on Santos on Sports. You know what I mean? Like I'd have to be like going.
Okay, so you want to save that voice for the following
next week. Scotty's. I keep asking, where's Scotty? Scotty's never around on a Wednesday night.
Maybe he'll be there for the finals. He shows up.
He's got guys working for him over there. He's the boss. He doesn't have to be there.
Maybe I'll have to call him up and say, hey, I think you should show up for this one.
Yeah, go down there for that one. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Chris. That's a lot of fun. Hopefully the Patriots can win tomorrow, and we'll catch up with you soon. For Chris Santos, I'm Paul Santos, Santos on Sports. We'll talk to you soon.